Pillar number 2, something to overcome. Now, likely you just watched pillar number 1, purpose. If you haven't, go back and watch it really quickly. It's a short video. I'll put the link right up here for you. You can click on it and go back and watch it, and then come and watch this video. Why? Because these videos are designed in a very specific way, so one works with the other. And if you're a man and you're trying to quit, which is what this short video series is about, really breaks down what is it going to take if you're a man to quit. Why? Because the truth is, men really are wired differently. And so as a man, if you understand what is unique about quitting for you, it will help you get over that hump and be successful at quitting smoking. So make sure you watch these 3 videos in sequence. Okay, pillar number 2, something to overcome. Let's just really quickly recap pillar number 1, which was purpose. And the whole point of that video was to start to frame your mind around the 3 kind of elements that you need to really be able to define your purpose as a man in quitting smoking. Those 3 items were: 1, go against the grain, meaning that your purpose in quitting is likely going to go against the crowd. 2, it's likely to be based on reason, or at least be logical, your purpose. It's going to make sense to you. It's not likely to be emotional. And 3, it's likely to be very practical. Men are problem solvers. Our purpose to quit will have a very practical approach to it. And that's how we need to start to frame purpose as a man. That being said, let's hop right into pillar number 2, something to overcome. This too is broken down into 3 elements. Element number 1 is adversity. Men often require adversity. This is the whole point of having something to overcome. It has to be adversarial in nature. Why? Because that's how men are wired. We are literally wired for adversity. We need something to overcome or conquer, or we need a battle or a fight. Men are often motivated and do things specifically to overcome something. For example, when George Mallory climbed Everest for the first time, the first man to climb it, and he was asked by a reporter, "Why did you decide to climb Mount Everest?" His reply was, "Because it was there." What is he really saying? He's really speaking to something fundamental in the psychology of men. We simply want to overcome something or conquer something or defeat something or beat something. That's just how we have been wired over tens and tens of thousands of years of human evolution. If you literally think about it, you look out at the world out there and you think of something that hasn't been done, hasn't been climbed, some record that hasn't been broken. I promise you, we have a man out there working on it right now. Why? Because we're just wired that way. And so this is true of your quit as well. Not only do you have a purpose, but we also have to frame our quit as something to overcome or something to conquer. And this is a good thing. This gets men in the right frame of mind. Why am I making this point? Because here's the thing. If you talk to a lot of men who fail at quitting smoking, they will often tell you, "I just can't get my mind right." This is about getting your mind right and allowing your mind to focus on the way that nature has designed you, and that is to overcome something. So that's number 1, adversity, or battling something or conquering something. And this leads to point number 2 of this pillar, which is it has to be an obstacle. So it's more than just something to overcome and something to be defeated. It's an actual real obstacle that's getting in our way that we can't seem to break through. It has this element that all obstacles have of it's impenetrable and it's difficult. That's how we like to frame problems as men. We like to frame them as it's more than just something to overcome, but it's a real obstacle, and to actually beat it and defeat it would be a huge triumph. So it has this second element to it. It has this element of massive difficulty or very hard. It's why men often try to frame smoking as very difficult. Why? Because it actually helps motivate us to conquer it or defeat it. So it has this other element to it. And why is this important? Because here's the thing from science that we know about the male brain. When a male actually overcomes or defeats or conquers something, it actually causes our brain to do two things. One, in the process of it, we create adrenaline. We get an adrenaline rush. This leads to a second biochemical response in our brain, massive dopamine production, which actually makes us feel good. So there is a biological payoff for men in building something up to be something to overcome, turn it into a giant obstacle that's very difficult or a hard barrier to break through, because when we do break through it, we know what's coming on the other side, a massive adrenaline rush and dopamine rush. We know there's a biochemical payoff. So that is part 2 of this. So we need something to overcome. It needs to be a very difficult obstacle that we need to overcome or conquer. Okay? Now this leads to the third thing that kind of wraps up this whole thing of something to overcome for men. And that is, it has to be kind of encapsulated in a story or a myth of a zero to hero journey. This is how men frame this pillar. For as long as humans have been organizing themselves into structures and hierarchies, we have been creating these types of stories. Zero to hero stories go back millennia. We've been telling zero to hero journey stories as men around campfires, and we still do it today. Just look at Hollywood. Look at every Avenger movie ever made. It's a zero to hero journey. It is infused inside of our culture. Why? Because Hollywood knows, and we know from human psychology, that people respond, men in particular respond to zero to hero journeys. Almost everyone can think of a Hollywood movie or a tale or a story from the past, or maybe that your grandfather told you, that was a zero to hero story. Robin Hood, Alexander the Great, any rags to riches story. Even the story of Buddha himself is a spiritual zero to hero journey. So now let's put all 3 of these elements together so we can really understand how as a man we have to start to frame or quit. Because the more we start to frame or quit and align it with our real nature as men, the easier quitting becomes. So let's put these 3 together now. So pillar number 2 is something to overcome. So how do we want to frame this as a man, something to overcome? 1, we want to realize that it's good for us to frame it as an obstacle or something to overcome. Why? Because we need something to bust through or defeat or to conquer. And it's okay that it has those elements. In fact, if you do frame it with those elements, something to achieve or overcome, you are more likely to be successful at your quit. The more you can frame it that way in your own mind. And the third thing is to realize when you create a myth in your own brain about quitting smoking, that you want to be a zero to hero journey with all of these elements. Okay, let's wrap this back into pillar number 1. So you have pillar number 1, purpose. Remember, you want to frame your purpose as that it's okay that how you are doing this may go against the crowd, or you may be swimming upstream in your quit. That for you, it's not likely to be emotional, it's likely to be based on logic and reason. And 3, that this is a practical issue that you're just trying to solve. Now think about pillar number 2, about how we're starting to frame this in our mind on how our purpose is being framed. We have to have something to overcome as a man. And this is a good thing if you frame it this way. It will motivate you to be successful. So how do we want to frame it in terms of overcoming something? Well, 1, that it's okay that we're framing it that way, that we have an obstacle, something that we need to conquer and defeat. 2, that it's okay that this obstacle is difficult, it's a barrier, and we need to break through it, and it's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy journey. It's okay for you to feel that way. In fact, it's good if you do feel that way if you're a man. And 3, take all of these things and frame it as a zero to hero journey. Those are the first 2 pillars. That's how we want to take pillar number 1 and pillar 2 and start to frame it into a cohesive package, that we have a purpose that's practical, something that we want to solve, and that it's logical and it makes sense to us, and that this is really just about a zero to hero journey, that there's something that we need to conquer, and it's going to be difficult, and it's our own personal zero to hero journey. Once we frame it that way, then we come to the linchpin. Pillar number 3, responsibility. And in the next video, we are going to show you exactly why it is so important to understand responsibility. And here's the thing. This is what no one has ever told you, and men in our society have not been given permission to have, which is to have responsibility. And I'm going to explain that in the next video, so make sure you now go watch pillar number 3. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If this has been useful to you, please make comments down below about what you think about the content. We love your feedback. And if you want more tips, tricks, and hacks on how to quit smoking, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the notification button and like the content. It helps me keep creating really great content for you like this that's meaningful. I'll also put in the description below a link to my calendar so you can book yourself into a free 50-minute phone consultation. I'll get you on the right track to quit smoking for the rest of your life. It's free, so why not take advantage of it? Again, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.